Hi, I'm Madeline. 3 years into my marriage with Derek, I thought I knew what I was getting into with his family. His parents, Richard and Evelyn Hamilton, always maintained this picture-perfect facade successful business owners with their immaculate house and equally immaculate son. There were always little comments about my graphic design career, questions about when I'd start a family properly, but Derek had always navigated these waters carefully. That changed the night of their anniversary dinner. Madeline, that blouse is certainly creative, Evelyn remarked as we settled around their formal dining table. Her voice carried that particular sweetness that made insults sound like concern. Thanks, I designed it myself, I replied, keeping things light. Richard cleared his throat. Derek tells us your little design business had a slow quarter. I felt Derek stiffen beside me. Actually, we landed 2 new clients. Maddie's been spending too much time on those projects instead of focusing on our home, Derek interrupted, his voice carrying an edge I'd never heard before. Always on her computer instead of handling things that matter. The table went silent. My sister Melissa nearly choked on her wine. What things exactly? I asked quietly. Derek laughed, but it wasn't his laugh. It was his father's. That dismissive chuckle I'd heard Richard use on service workers. The house is always a mess. Dinner's rarely ready when I get home. And when Mom asked about grandkids, you gave some excuse about career timing. We discussed waiting another year, I said, feeling heat rise to my face. Women today don't understand priorities. Richard nodded approvingly at his son. Derek straightened under their approval. Maddie needs to understand that what she wants comes second to what's best for us. My friend Taylor caught my eye across the table with a look of disbelief. Derek, can we discuss this privately? I whispered. Why? Everyone here agrees with me. You're being selfish, Madeline. My parents have been married 30 years because my mother understood sacrifice. For 15 more excruciating minutes, Derek listed my failings, my obsession with my career, my unwillingness to join his parents' country club, even criticizing how I'd decorated our home. With each point, Richard and Evelyn nodded while Melissa and Taylor sat in stunned silence. The drive home was a blur. Derek kept saying I was overreacting, that he was just being honest. But something had shattered, the illusion that I was in a partnership. As we pulled into our driveway, Melissa called. That wasn't normal, she said firmly. You know that, right? Looking at Derek unlocking our front door, smiling as if nothing had happened, I realized I'd been missing the signs all along. This wasn't just one bad night. This was the mask finally slipping. I know, I replied, and I'm not going to forget it. I can't believe you're still upset about dinner. My parents were just trying to help us. Derek poured his coffee, acting like last night was ancient history. Help us? You publicly humiliated me in front of my sister and best friend. Don't be so dramatic. You're embarrassing yourself. Derek rolled his eyes. You made my parents' anniversary dinner all about you. I gripped the kitchen counter. By learning, you mean I should just take verbal abuse? See? This is why we can't have conversations. You twist everything. Derek checked his watch. I'm late for work. We'll talk when you're being reasonable. After he left, I called Melissa. He's acting like I'm crazy for being upset. That's classic gaslighting, Maddie. Listen, can you meet for lunch? Taylor and I are worried. At the cafe, Melissa and Taylor didn't waste time. Remember when you wanted to visit Mom last Thanksgiving and suddenly Derek had that work emergency? Melissa asked. Or when you backed out of our girls' trip because Derek said your anniversary plans changed? Taylor added. He always had good reasons. My voice trailed off. And what about your Thursday pottery class that you mysteriously quit? Melissa pressed. Derek said we needed to save money. While he bought that golf membership? Taylor raised an eyebrow. My stomach tightened. I never thought about it that way. He's been isolating you bit by bit, Melissa said gently. Back at work, my coworker James noticed something was off. Rough morning? I hesitated before telling him about dinner. James listened carefully. My sister went through something similar. Her husband would criticize her in front of others, then tell her she was overreacting. That night, I went through old texts from Derek. Why are you still at the office? Who were you talking to? Hundreds of them. When Derek got home, he had flowers. I'm sorry if you felt bad, but I need you to apologize to my parents. Apologize for what? Being attacked? Derek's face darkened. After everything they've done for us, this is exactly why I had to call you out. I won't apologize for being hurt. Fine. Be difficult. He slammed the bedroom door. I opened my laptop and started a document. Incidents with Derek. I typed the dinner story, then added dozens more I'd been dismissing for years. My phone buzzed. Derek had changed our shared account password. The next day, Derek insisted on driving me to work. Since we're having issues, I think it's best if you don't meet Melissa or Taylor for a while. They're putting ideas in your head. At lunch, I discreetly downloaded a recording app on my phone. Hey, James, I asked. Does your sister still talk to her ex? No, but she's happier now. Started by documenting everything. Dates, witnesses, recordings where legal. That night, Derek accidentally knocked over my laptop. Maybe if you weren't always working, we wouldn't have these problems. I said nothing, just pressed record on my phone in my pocket. You know I hate the silent treatment, he snapped. What are Melissa and Taylor telling you? Nothing I haven't figured out myself. Derek lowered his voice. I control the finances, Maddie. Your name isn't even on the house. Think about that before you keep pushing me. For the first time, his threat didn't scare me. It clarified everything. I had the evidence I needed for today's entry. The business card felt heavy in my hand. Samantha Wellington, family law attorney. I'm not saying you need to file tomorrow, but you should know your options. James had slipped it to me during our coffee break. I called during my lunch hour from a coffee shop 2 blocks from my office. Can you speak freely? Samantha's voice was calm, professional. Yes, I'm alone. Tell me what's happening. I laid out the last 3 years in 15 minutes. The control, the public humiliation, the financial manipulation. Have you checked your credit report recently? No. Why? Most controlling spouses leave financial breadcrumbs. Let's look into that. That evening, I printed my credit report at the library. 3 credit cards I never knew existed, all maxed out, all in my name. A second mortgage on the house I supposedly wasn't on the deed for. You look stressed. Derek was watching me closely when I got home. Work stuff, big deadline. The next morning, I approached Christopher's office, credit report in hand. I need to talk to you about something personal. His expression changed when I showed him the report and played a recording of Derek's financial threats. Jesus, Madeline, what do you need? A safe place to work where he can't just show up, and possibly a raise since I'm apparently drowning in debt I never created. Done and done. We'll move you to the secure floor and backdate a raise approval from last month. By week's end, my paycheck was being split. Half to our joint account, half to a new account Samantha helped me open. Derek's mother cornered me at the grocery store. Taylor's voice was tense over the phone. Said you're having emotional problems and they're all so worried. What exactly did Evelyn say? That you've been making up stories, neglecting your marriage. She even suggested you might be having an affair with someone at work. I downloaded the security app James recommended and positioned cameras in our living room and kitchen, small enough to hide in bookshelves and plants. You've been spending a lot of time with James. Derek ambushed me as I made dinner. He's a coworker. Don't play dumb. Mom saw you having lunch together last week. Your mom was spying on me? She was concerned. Everyone is. You're acting strange, making accusations. What accusations? Don't think I don't know about your little chat with Taylor and Melissa. They called to check on me, worried about your behavior. The knife paused. They called you? Of course they did. They're concerned. A lie. Taylor had texted me an hour ago about taking me to dinner tomorrow. Your paranoia is out of control. Derek stepped closer, backing me against the counter. Maybe we should talk to someone about medication options. I tightened my grip on the knife. Step back, please. Or what? You'll stab me? He knocked the knife from my hand. That would look great to the police, wouldn't it? The camera in the fruit bowl was capturing everything. I'm going to stay with Melissa tonight. I moved toward the door. Derek grabbed my arm so hard I gasped. You're not going anywhere. We're fixing this tonight. He dragged me toward the stairs, not seeing the small camera on the shelf capturing his rage, his fingers digging into my skin. That night, while Derek slept, I emailed the footage to Samantha, Christopher, Melissa, and myself. Tomorrow would be my last day in this house. Morning came with unexpected calm. Derek kissed me goodbye like any normal day, completely unaware that 3 moving trucks would arrive the moment he left for work. Everything's loaded. Where do you want these boxes? The mover gestured to my personal items. The storage unit first, then my sister's place for the essentials. By noon, I was sitting in Samantha's office, watching her arrange evidence folders. The financial fraud alone would be enough, but the video from last night? We're filing for an emergency restraining order alongside the divorce papers. When will he be served? Today, at his office. Publicly. My phone exploded with messages at 3:17 p.m. What the hell is this? Derek's first text screamed. Then, where are you? Then, all our stuff is gone. I forwarded everything to Samantha without responding. At 5:30, Richard and Evelyn's number appeared on my phone. This is a misunderstanding, Madeline. Richard's voice was dangerously controlled. Whatever you think happened is on video, and in police reports, and financial records. You ungrateful little... Don't finish that sentence unless you want it added to the evidence pile. Derek loves you. He's devastated. Devastated he got caught. 2 weeks later, we faced off in the first hearing. Derek's attorney looked physically ill after viewing our evidence. My client requests a continuance to review these materials. Denied, the judge responded. The restraining order remains in effect. Outside, Derek tried approaching me. Maddie, please, this has gone too far. Samantha stepped between us. That's a violation of the restraining order. Officer? The bailiff moved forward. Sir, you need to maintain distance. 1 month turned into 3. Derek lost his VP position after HR received copies of his threatening texts and videos. The company's zero-tolerance policy was unambiguous. They're selling their house, Taylor reported during our weekly dinner. Richard and Evelyn put it on the market last week. The final divorce hearing arrived on a crisp fall day. The settlement was brutal for Derek: financial restitution for the fraudulent accounts, liquidation of assets, and a permanent restraining order. As I walked to my car, a familiar voice called out, Madeline, wait, please. Derek stood there, thinner, shadows under his eyes. You're violating the restraining order. Again. I just need to say I'm sorry. I've been in therapy. I understand what I did. Good for you. I hope it helps with your next victim. It wasn't me. My parents. Stop. You made your choices. Every single day for 3 years. I still love you. And I don't care. That's the difference between then and now. His face hardened. After everything we had, you're just walking away? No, Derek. I'm not just walking away. I'm escaping. There's a difference. My life is ruined because of you. Your life is ruined because of you. I got in my car, started the engine, and never looked back. 6 months later, my design firm was thriving. My new apartment felt like home, and the woman in the mirror finally looked familiar again. The last I heard, Derek moved back in with Richard and Evelyn in a much smaller house, in a much smaller town, where nobody knew their name yet. What would you have done if your spouse publicly humiliated you in front of family to please their parents? Would you have gathered evidence like Madeline or confronted the situation differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this revenge story of a woman reclaiming her power, hit that like button and subscribe for more compelling stories that explore the complexities of toxic relationships and the path to justice. New stories posted weekly.